The question is, how are BIPOC folks showing solidarity and addressing lateral violence? I'm going to take this question in two parts. So the biggest way that I have seen BIPOC folks showing solidarity in everything that has been happening with this movement for justice since June is I've been seeing solidarity that is both genuine and sustained. When I'm talking about genuine solidarity, that is solidarity that is not at all transactional, meaning you're just showing up for another community, not expecting anything in return. You're not saying, I'm going to show up for you as long as you show up for me. A lot of that will happen naturally if you just show up for other communities of color. Similarly, if you are a non-Black person of color, please also make sure that you are aware of how rampant and how distinct anti-Blackness is in the United States, and the fact that your experience as a person of color will still differ from Black individuals in this country. Now, the second part of that is I'm also seeing sustained activism among BIPOC communities, meaning this is activism and solidarity that is ongoing. It is not just a black square. It is not something that is solved by you showing up one time. It is something that you are continuing to do, and you are making sure to put it into your daily practice, whether that's having difficult conversations with your family, whether that's looking at your workspace, whether that's really dissecting the space that you occupy as a BIPOC individual. It's making sure that your solidarity is sustained. The second part of this question is talking about lateral violence. When we are talking about lateral violence, we're essentially talking about minority on minority crime. Let's be real, a lot of times what we hear is Black on Black crime. Let me just say this. Lateral violence, it's a little bit of a funky term and a funky conversation, because naturally, if you're in a community of color, you're going to see violence when there's violence that is lateral, that's happening within that community. Just like if you are within a white community, when there's violence that happens, you will see violence happening between white individuals in that community. One thing I will say I have seen that has changed in this movement for justice that's really got sparked since June is within Black and Brown communities. I have finally started to see a lot of conversation about the violence and murder that is happening to primarily Black and Brown trans women. And Black and Brown trans women are erased. They have oftentimes a life expectancy of 35 years old. And it's a conversation that we need to continue to have, because if this movement is not intersectional, it's not a good movement. We need to protect our trans femmes and our Black trans femmes specifically, who face the most violence. I hope that answered your question. Thank you.